afternoon from the KUOW newsroom. This is Seattle Now. I'm Paige Browning. The Olympic Games have drawn to a close, but Northwest athletes made their mark by launching a new sport and getting into critiquing Italian food. We'll have a recap, but first, here's the roundup of today's top stories. It's Monday, February 23rd. Starting with, a number of union groups and progressive advocates are alleging fraud in the state legislature's public hearings for bills. Scott Greenstone has more.
If a member of the public wants to register support or opposition to a bill in the state legislature, they can do that online before a hearing. But this weekend, Democratic State Senator Victoria Hunt was surprised to find her name registered as opposing a bill she helped introduce.
Somebody had signed in without my permission on my behalf.
She and other Democrats call this bill the millionaire's tax. It has a hearing on Tuesday, and over 100,000 names have appeared opposing it. But at least some are leaders of unions backing the tax and others who support it. Tens of thousands more are allegedly duplicates. Tax supporters are asking the Attorney General and House Clerk to investigate. Scott Greenstone, KUOW News.
Today was a big budget day in Olympia. Senate Democrats, led by Ways and Means Committee Chair June Robinson, released their version of a supplemental budget. It tweaks the 2-year plan the legislature approved last year and includes some spending cuts.
We're not only at a time when state resources are limited, but our federal government cannot be relied on. We just have a lot of uncertainty coming out of Washington, D.C., and at times downright hostility towards the people in Washington.
Robinson says the Senate budget plan maintains current spending for priorities such as education, health care, and food aid. House Democrats released their budget yesterday. The two chambers will now work with the governor's office on a final version that must be passed before the legislature adjourns on March 12th. As for Republican lawmakers, who are the minority party in the Capitol, one of their remaining top priorities is making it easier for the state to remove kids from unsafe situations. Representative Jim Walsh chairs the state GOP. He says the state's current law sets the bar too high for removing a child from their parents.
Currently, the standard is imminent harm, and what we're seeking to do is change that to harm. The imminent part is where the courts get locked up. And the result is keeping young children in households where fentanyl is being used.
A bill to change that standard failed to advance, but Walsh says there still may be opportunities to amend the existing law. KUOW reported that in the last 3 years, 52 babies and children died after their families were investigated by the state. Lawmakers are also looking at other solutions, including more caseworkers and more interventions for parents. We're connecting with Seattleites who are in Mexico. Acts of violence and disruption have been taking place in parts of Mexico since military forces there killed the country's most powerful cartel leader on Sunday. Seattle Civic leader Colleen Ekohawk Hayashi was spending midwinter break with family and friends in Puerto Vallarta. She says their flights were rescheduled yesterday and canceled this morning.
We're doing everything we can to, stay on top of the news and be ready to move when we can. But the priority is safety, and we're not going to head anywhere until we know absolutely sure that it's okay to get out of the resort.
SeaTac officials reported 8 Mexican passenger flights were canceled in the last 24 hours. This afternoon, the New York Times reported Mexican authorities appear to have restored order in multiple cities. But travel remains rocky across the United States. Airlines have canceled thousands of flights through tomorrow because of a powerful storm hitting the East Coast. Air travel has ground to a near halt at major airports serving New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, and other parts of the eastern U.S. SeaTac Airport's been feeling some impact, with more than 40 flights canceled today and more than 100 delayed. Officials advise checking with your airlines for updates if you plan to fly this week. We're remembering Cheryl Stumbo today. Stumbo was a survivor of the 2006 shooting of the Jewish Federation of Greater Seattle and a gun safety advocate. She's died at age 63. Noelle Gasca has more on Stumbo's legacy.
After the shooting, Stumbo became a fierce advocate for gun violence prevention. She became the citizen sponsor of Washington State's Initiative 594, which required almost all firearm sales or transfers to be subject to background checks, even in private sales. State Senator Drew Hansen says Washington's strong gun safety laws are thanks to people like her.
Extraordinary people who don't have public office, who decided to spend their time working just patiently and consistently to strengthen the gun safety laws in this state. And Cheryl was absolutely like soldier number one in that whole army.
Stumbo was receiving hospice care in Corvallis, Oregon at the time of her death. Noelle Gasca, KUOW News.
A few short updates for you tonight. Thousands of people have pitched in donations after Seattle Seahawks fans damaged the historic pergola in Pioneer Square. The neighborhood association says it's raised $20,000 for repairs through the Seattle Parks Foundation. The night of the Seahawks Super Bowl win, fans climbed atop the pergola and broke custom glass panels. The Alliance for Pioneer Square says the structure is 117 years old and is a National Historic Landmark. The plans are changing for Seattle's Summer World Cup celebrations. Instead of one big viewing party zone outside the stadiums, FIFA officials are planning to spread out the festivities from just Seattle Center to at least 4 locations. So far, Waterfront Park, Pacific Place, and Soto's Victory Hall have been confirmed, according to the Seattle Times. Officials say they'll all have big screens so people can watch the games. And summer festival lineups are starting to surface. Woodland Park Zoo just announced a run of 13 shows coming for Zoo Tunes this year. The zoo will bring in headliners from Belle and Sebastian to Maren Morris during the Summer Fest. Artists also include the Revivalists, Pavement, Ani DeFranco, and Suki Waterhouse. Now our feature story today. The U.S. won 33 medals in the Milan Cortina Olympics, and 4 came from athletes who are tied to the Northwest. In total, 2 gold medals and 2 in bronze for Northwest competitors. Among their biggest wins, a roaring comeback in hockey. Team USA defeated their rival Canada in a storybook women's hockey game, a game buoyed by 5 athletes who play professionally in Seattle, 4 for Team USA and 1 for Canada. In the gold medal match, they trailed Canada for much of the tilt until Captain America, longtime star forward Hillary Knight, tied the game up late in the 3rd period. Knight also captained Seattle's pro women's hockey team, the Seattle Torrent. Fan Kate Nutman was one of many who packed bars in Seattle to watch the USA women's game last Wednesday. She got a coveted seat at the Rough and Tumble pub in Ballard.
I find it fun to find pride in my country, despite the fact that we're living in a time that is challenging and difficult to find things to be proud of. I'm a longtime Olympics fan, and I am excited to see the teamwork and camaraderie and something that we can all be proud in.
Hillary Knight's tying goal sent that game into overtime, and teammate Megan Keller won it with a backhand shot. Knight, who was born and raised in Idaho, set new Team USA records in women's hockey, becoming the all-time leading Olympics goal scorer and points leader. During the games, she also got engaged to her partner, Olympic speed skater Brittany Bowe. On the men's side, USA also won gold. No Kraken players made that roster, but they had 2 players on Team Finland, Kaapo Kakko and Eli Tolvanen, which won the bronze after beating Slovakia. On to the speed skating rink, where a local skater brought home the bronze. Federal Way native Corinne Corey Stoddard whipped around the track Friday to win 3rd in the 1,500-meter women's. It came after a rough games where she crashed in multiple races.
Yeah, it was honestly the worst week and a half of my life, which is not normal for someone at the Olympics.
She even apologized to her fans at one point, but she told King 5 she finally felt herself by the end.
This medal just means so much more to me than it would have, because I came from the depths of hell and came back and was able to skate like myself finally.
On the snow, Breezy Johnson, becoming now a notable name in skiing, won the first gold medal for Team USA in the Olympics. She won the women's downhill in the race Lindsey Vonn crashed in. And Johnson, an Idaho native, also got engaged during the games to her longtime boyfriend. She was beat in another race by another Northwest athlete. In the women's team combined race, Portlander Jackie Wiles got the bronze with her teammate Paula Moltzen. And then there was Skimo. The Olympics launched ski mountaineering for the first time ever, and Anna Gibson represented Team USA on the women's side. Gibson, a former University of Washington track star, placed just off the podium and enthusiastically said, "I've got to be the happiest fourth-place finisher the Olympics has ever seen. That was the time of my life." In curling, Ben Richardson and Luke Violet, who'd trained at Granite Curling Club in Seattle, competed for the USA. No medal for them, but Richardson made a name for himself on TikTok.
Today, we have the Nutella. This didn't come out of a Nutella keg. I believe they only have that in Milan, but it did come out of a dispenser.
He reviewed every food item in the Olympic Village. Here's his take on the Nutella dispenser in the buffet.
That's good. I'm a sucker for Nutella. No complaints. I think it's really good. I'd give it a 8.8 out of 10.
A sweet ending. About a dozen other athletes with ties to the Northwest, from speed skaters to cross-country skiers, gave their all in the Olympics, but came up short of a medal. The Milano Cortina 2026 Paralympic Winter Games start Friday, March 6th. Next time on Seattle Now, many small business owners in Seattle say they're struggling more right now than they were during the pandemic.
Because there has been challenge after challenge with regard to rising costs, falling foot traffic, falling sales. Even though the lights might be on and the boards came down, the small businesses in our neighborhoods are still struggling to survive.
Hear more Tuesday morning. That's all for today from the KUOW newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst, and I'm Paige Browning. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. See ya.